You're listening to Soul Growth with me, Jade Stoner. Here we go beyond performance and surface level success and return to your true source of power, you. When you come home to yourself, when you allow your soul to lead, you access a depth of peace, safety and self-trust that success alone was never meant to fulfill, without losing your edge, ambition or vision. You get to live a life that feels as eternally rich as it looks outwardly impressive, and it begins within you. Hello and welcome to this episode of Soul Growth. This is the episode that I'm reflecting on 2024, but I'm actually recording it at the end of 2025, which I wasn't going to tell you, but I think it's important for a few reasons. Firstly, this is a reminder to both of us that things come together on our soul's timing, not our human timing. I mean, if we look at it from a completely different perspective, time is not even real. It doesn't even really exist. But that's a conversation for another day. My point is, we often attach these timelines to things and we expect them to come together in that moment. We even try and force them to happen. But that's not always our experience. But what is true is that everything always comes together exactly as it's supposed to and when it's supposed to. What I recorded at the end of 2024, an entire episode, which was then nowhere to be found, it was powerful. The lessons that I shared with you were powerful. And now with 2025 almost complete, the lessons I'm sharing are even more potent because of all the soul growth I've experienced this year. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more about that in a separate episode. But for right now, I'm able to take you deeper into my lessons from 2024 and from a different perspective because I'm different. That deeper layer is also important to point out because it's a reminder that life isn't linear. We are constantly shifting and evolving and becoming and unbecoming, living in an in-between space. And it's very rare that we just jump from one reality to another, from one version of ourselves to another. What is more accurate is that we learn, we have an experience, our learning is solidified by that experience, and then we think that's it, like an item checked off a list. But we're often brought deeper into that learning later on, usually when we've forgotten about the original learning. We're brought through a similar looking portal and we're asked to lean deeper into who we are, which means really pushing and testing the lesson that we've previously learned at a deeper level. It requires us to dig deeper within, which also means facing some shit that we've either ignored before or that we've seen before, but again, it's about accessing it at a deeper level. We are never given any more than we can handle at any one time. So the first time you experienced the lesson, you were one version of you, a version that wouldn't have been able to handle the lesson at the depth you're now experiencing it. But that depth is required for you to transform, to become the person that you need to be that can handle the things you're calling into your life, because it's all soul growth. That doesn't mean it's always about pressure and pain. We can also learn and expand through pleasure, but however the lesson is presented to you, the outcome is always the same: growth. Becoming the person that you came here to be, beyond the performance, beyond the proving, beyond the bullshit and the noise of your outer world. And it's a journey. That's ultimately what I've been reminded of this year. And with that remembrance comes a peace, a softening, and all of this has brought me to a higher level of myself. And from that next level, it's a different vantage point. And I get to share a deepened wisdom of my 2024 lessons with you right now. So, number 1, your goals and desires live in your body, not just your mind. This was really a full circle moment for me. My journey into personal and spiritual growth started in 2010, and it started very much learning about mindset. Mindset was everything. That's what I was taught. That's what I was sold. That was the narrative out there. Just get your mind right and everything else will fall into place. And you'll remember from past episodes that I've shared with you that I would be doing all of the things and not really getting the results that I was promised when I did all of these mindset things. So this goes on for some years, and then I get to a point and I start learning about energy. And I'm like, oh, energy. That's the missing piece, right? It's not just about mindset. It's about mindset and energy. So started doing all of the energy stuff. Same thing as with the mind. Get to a certain point and you stop and look around and you're like, this still isn't what I was promised, what I thought I would get from doing this stuff. And then in 2024, I was brought to what feels like the final piece of the puzzle, which was the body. So how this came about. In 2024, I enrolled in a program to better work with my channeling abilities, and it started out great. And then there came a point when it wasn't so great and I stopped taking part in the program. And that's when I received this message from my higher self. To go higher, you have to be able to go deeper. What unfolded from there was the understanding that the body has to be on board with our desires as well. It's not just the mind, it's not just the energy, it's the body as well. And the body has to feel safe to be able to receive your desires and to be able to hold on to them. So within the context of channeling, what I was shown is that so many people desire to connect with higher frequency energies and beings. They want to go higher and connect with these beings that are in higher dimensions. But the reason that they can't get there, or they can't hold themselves being there for very long, is because their body's not on board. They can't go higher because they're not at home and rooted in their body. They don't feel safe. As I'm sharing that with you, I'm getting the vision of a tree. Being grounded and safe in your body is about having strong roots, and everything else grows from there. But the problem is that many people aren't fully present in their body. They're detached. Parts of it are numbed off. And that's because the body has coded itself in that way through some past experience. Some past experience that they had that was traumatic, or it felt unsafe. So to survive, they disconnect or shut off from their body. This isn't conscious. This is all very much unconscious. And as you know, the unconscious is responsible for most of how we act and show up in life. So this is what happens. And when they disconnect, when they shut off, your body moves into survival mode and the nervous system stays stuck in that state. And that then becomes their normal, their baseline. And they begin to create from that state and from that frequency. And this is where I was at. And what I was shown was that my body was stuck in survival mode. It's like parts of it were locked and closed off. And this body piece was the last piece of the puzzle. Spiritual work demands more from you. Bringing your truest desires, your soul desires, into your physical experience, into your physical reality demands more. And the internet would love you to believe otherwise. Do this hack, do this thing, try this ritual, do this 5-step process. And while that can work sometimes, it's not the full picture, and it's not something that's going to give you sustainable, repeatable success. This body piece is also why sometimes you can't receive what you say you want, because your body and your nervous system just doesn't feel safe receiving the things that you want. So it energetically just shields you from them. Your energy is literally repelling the thing that you say that you truly want. Mind saying, I want to be in a healthy, happy, loving relationship. but your body doesn't feel safe receiving love. You see the mismatch. Your body thinks it's protecting you from what it perceives to be unsafe. So if you've been hurt in the past and there's some unhealed stuff around that, your body has coded into itself that it's not safe to receive love. So whilst you're actively pursuing it, or you think you are, there's a part of you that is pushing it away. This lesson is something that has continued to deepen for me in 2025, moving myself and my body out of survival mode. And what it's really been is about being shown the small micro ways, the subtle ways that I was still running this program in, and the ways in which it was keeping me stuck and looping in the same patterns, albeit in a different way. So if your body is activated in some way right now, as you're listening to this, if you're feeling the urge to move, or you feel uncomfortable, or you feel some tension or some tightness somewhere, or your mind has completely wandered, then this is your body communicating with you. And this is how you know that there is some truth in this lesson for you too. And when you become aware that this is your truth, you then get to accept it. And then you can start to take the steps to come back into a felt sense of safety within yourself and your body through somatic work and through presence. Because the more at home in your body you feel, the more grounded and rooted into it that you feel, the more safety you allow yourself to feel in your body, the less you abandon yourself every time the going gets rough. And then the more you're able to expand your capacity to actually receive your desires into your life and trust yourself not to fuck them up. Number 2, getting comfortable and familiar with things working out. So there was a big part of my life where I've experienced the opposite of what I desired to have. And as you know from other episodes and from what I've just briefly shared with you, it wasn't through a lack of trying, but once upon a time, I was doing all the things to manifest them, feeling like I was getting absolutely nowhere. And it was disappointing, it was disheartening, and at times painful. And it made me question myself. So a whole lot of receipts of things not working out the way that I wanted them to. And I didn't realise it, but all of these experiences of things not working out for me were unconsciously stacking up. So beyond my conscious awareness, there was an identity developing that didn't believe I could have the things that I want. So here's what I was shown in 2024 was happening. Consciously, I wanted an experience. I would set the intention to make the thing happen. I'd be doing the things to make it happen. But unconsciously, the identity that I was pursuing these desires in was one of lack, of having past experiences and beliefs of things not working out for me. So it was just like I found myself going through the motions over and over, but underneath it all, I didn't really, truly believe that I could have the thing because of all of this evidence of my past experiences of things not working out for me. I'd built up like energetic scar tissue. And going back to the body, mine had received the memo that it's not safe for me to have and pursue certain things. And it had unknowingly shut off in ways to protect me. So these are the kind of reasons that you might find yourself procrastinating or justifying or making excuses about the things that you say you want. It's not laziness, and it's not because you don't want it bad enough. It's very simply protection. I didn't feel safe to receive and had these unconscious and energetic like keep out signs. And even though I was taking the action to move myself forwards, there was a mismatch. So of course things couldn't work out for me. And going back to the example that I shared with you about relationships, when you're pursuing something like a relationship, for example, but underneath you have these beliefs and these thoughts of it's not going to work out for me, didn't in the past, so why would it now? You can see why it wouldn't come together. And of course, it's like really obvious when you zoom out and look at it in this way. But more often than not, we don't realise we're running these patterns. We just know we're not getting what we want. If, as you're listening to this story has activated you in some way, then, this is your work too. And I invite you to look at not the big obvious ways that you think this is showing up. The way to really unpick this patterning within you is to look at the micro ways that it may be showing up for you. Because in all my years of experience, it's very rarely the big obvious things that are the things that are in your way. It's the small, very small things that can often be missed that are the keys to unlocking everything for you. When you become aware of how you've been operating, bit by bit, you can start to make the shift when you catch yourself mentally or energetically pushing something away and telling yourself a quiet story of things like, oh, it probably won't happen for me anyway, but I'll give it a try. Or he or she's probably just like all the others. And the emphasis here is on the word quiet. We're so used to doing things in certain ways and expecting certain things and tolerating and accepting certain things that quiet voice, the one of fear and rationalization, it just feels like it's you. But it's not. And it's not the voice of your higher self. It is the voice of fear, albeit very quiet fear. And your work is to really catch yourself in the moments that you're telling yourself a limiting story and heal the parts of you that are rejecting your receiving. And then bit by bit, you get to recode yourself, like mentally, energetically, and physically, with the truth that things do get to work out for you, no matter how delusional your desires may seem, and remind yourself that those desires are your destiny. And then as you start to do this work, instead of approaching new situations and new intentions from old, outdated identities and versions of yourself, you learn to identify and release those limits, and you get to open up fully to receive what you really, truly desire, and without fear. It's natural for us to feel some trepidation doing something new, especially when you've got past evidence of it not working out. When you've attempted to do some version of it before and it didn't work out. But the truth is, you're not the same person that you were a month or even a year ago. You've grown and you've healed and you've learned and evolved. So you're available for different outcomes, and things do and will get to work out for you. It's safe for you to have things work out for you, right? And potentially even better than you expect. This is an ongoing learning experience for me. And while this lesson was taught to me in 2024, it's been a lesson I've been called deeper into throughout 2025, and it still continues. Because remember, growth, especially soul growth and healing, are rarely linear. Lesson number 3. Spirit is always with you, guiding you, protecting you. This one was a really interesting lesson and an undeniable reminder that knowing something intellectually at a mind level, and that truth being a part of you, something that you embody, a part of your being, two completely different things. And it was another example of how soul growth happens in layers. For me, my belief in spirit was very present, and I've lived with that truth. It's what I share with you here throughout the podcast. And what 2024 showed me was that it was time to lean into this truth and this knowing even more deeply, especially when you're afraid. What I saw, what I was shown, was how I felt fear with certain things. And when I did, I would just shut off and in many ways disconnect from spirit and default into this old way of being where I'd go into my head and then try and fix things from there, try and figure out a solution from my mind, and feeling like I had to do it all alone. It's easy to believe that spirit is always with you when you're not facing challenges, when life isn't lifing, but when it does, and when you feel stressed or pressured or afraid, or you're in a situation you haven't been in before, it's very easy to revert into what's familiar. And for me, that looked like going into my head and trying to figure things out. Moving from the truth and the knowing that spirit is always with you to almost forgetting or dismissing that and trying to force my way through situations. So the first time I was really shown this and asked to lean into this lesson was in March of 2024 when I had to go to court. And I'd never been to court before, which made me uncomfortable in and of itself, pissed me off because it wasn't even for anything I'd done. And I also felt anxious because it meant going to this place that I didn't want to go to and seeing my son's dad and potentially his partner too, both of which I had no relationship with, and I was flying solo. And that was when spirit checked me. And I was reminded that I am never alone, that spirit is always with me. And the message that I received loud and clear is that spirit walk in front of me, beside me, behind me, and I am divinely guided and protected, always and in all ways, and that this situation was no different. I was asked not just to lean into that truth, but to lean on that truth and allow it to hold me. It's like it became a cushion, like an energetic cushion around me that held me and just brought me comfort. And I imagined myself walking into that courtroom in that truth. And visibly, I was alone, but invisibly, I was surrounded by all of my spirit team, my higher self, my big, giant lion spirit animal, Leo, my angels, my ancestors, all of them. And walking into that room while knowing that truth. It gave me strength. It brought me peace. And this is a lesson, a reminder that I had to come back to again and again, that I still come back to. But that experience was where the seed was planted and where I was asked to deepen my understanding of something that I already knew to be true and allow it to root deeper into my being and to become a part of my knowing that became the energetic backdrop for any situation I'm faced with in any area of my life. And that lesson has been amplified for me in different ways throughout 2025 too. And I now understand that that experience last year was ultimately about more than just that moment and just that situation. It was shaping me, it was molding me to become the person that I needed to be so that I could navigate not only that situation, but everything that continued to unfold throughout 2024 and throughout 2025. And I'm sure it will continue to serve me in the same way. And what gets to happen is that it gets to get stronger and stronger as a belief and as a knowing. The more you lean into it, the more you use it. So in me sharing that, if something has activated in you, this is a lesson for you too. And it's your invitation to remember that being spiritual isn't something that's passive. It's something that we are asked to lean into again and again, and to remember and use in every part of our life, and to anchor into that truth that spirit is always with you, guiding you and leading you. They communicate their presence through whispers and knowings, songs, what we call synchronicities or signs. Could be a post on social media, could be something someone says, a smell, a memory, a book. There are literally so many ways they communicate with us, and it's just about being attuned to those messages, learning to listen to what's being shared, to trust it, and to act on it. When it's easy, and especially when it's not. And that's the true test of the strength of your spiritual connection. when you're asked to powerfully hold the frequency of faith and trust in the truth that Spirit has always got you, and holding on to that knowing when you find yourself in new and unfamiliar situations or places, experiences. Holding on to that truth, that knowing, even when it feels like you're crazy and your ego is literally screaming at you to make a move, do a thing, while your soul quietly whispers, just to be still. It's kind of like playing chicken with the universe and allowing each wobble and doubt to strengthen you. And remember that it's all happening for your soul growth. It's all soul growth. 2024 was ultimately the reminder that there is a divine process to everything we experience, even when we don't fully get it. And the ultimate test is, can you stand in your power, your truth, and your knowing without leaking your energy, regardless of what the world outside of you is mirroring? So these are my most powerful lessons from 2024. Number 1, your body must be on board with your desires so that you can receive them into your life. Number 2, things get to work out for you, so start expecting them to in the big things and the small things. And number 3, you are never alone. Your spirit team are always with you, guiding you and protecting you. I know that at least one of these lessons is meant for you too. So trust your knowing and allow it to show you what's next. This is how you strengthen your connection to yourself and your soul, one golden thread at a time. Until the next episode, big love. Mwah. Thank you for joining me on Soul Growth. There's something in this episode that was meant for you to hear. Whatever it activated within you, trust it, act on it. And remember, it's all soul growth.